All right, guys, strap yourselves in. We got a really good one for you today, one that hits us all. Wages. Are your wages keeping up with inflation? Well, let's hear from these people who say yes, maybe no. I don't know. Real quick, leave me a comment below. Your raise last year, did it keep up with this crazy inflation? Anyway, let's get going and check it out. All right, so here's a good one here explaining from a young person's point of view, very frustrated, very scared, her experiences here. Let's check her out, what she's got to say.
Can somebody explain to me in crayon eating terms why I make over 3 times the federal minimum wage and I cannot afford to live?
I know he kind of answered the question himself in his own video, but I want to highlight one thing he briefly mentioned and talk about it, which is that the American dream is dead. Yes, the traditional American dream, which is like doing better than your parents and being able to provide a lot for your family, is dead, or at least it's changed. Because there are many of us that are well aware that we will never be able to make as much money as our parents did. And I think my mother, who is a boomer and benefited directly from the system in place, said it best when she once said, roughly, that the American dream has changed. It's become very apparent to everyone that in this economy, Gen Z, millennials, and some Gen Xers, many of us will not be able to do better than our parents. We won't even be able to do as well as our parents. And now the American dream has become just being able to get by, being able to maybe afford a house at some point, maybe have a kid or two if we're lucky enough to make that much money. And a lot of us, myself included, who has now experienced financial related layoffs twice so far in the last 2 years since I've entered the job market. You know, those of us who feel like we're constantly in fight or flight about bills and how we're going to keep making it by, it's making us miserable and feel so hopeless. And yes, I could sit here all day and show you graphs of how inflation is going up, and while wages are going up, it's just not matching inflation. So it feels like we're all just constantly working and working, and the goalpost just keeps getting moved further and further away from us. And yeah, it has a lot of us extremely stressed and worried and feel like just giving up because we're constantly running a race where the finish line is getting moved further out. And I think it's obvious that we're all just really exhausted by it now. I know I am. I'm constantly hitting a wall with all of this. And a lot of us have to wake up every day blatantly knowing we will never do as well as our parents did. And we just have to try to make it, somewhat close to that. I'm sorry. My dad passed away several years ago on this date. So I'm just thinking about him, and sometimes I feel like he'd be proud of me, but sometimes I feel like he'd be very disappointed. But he was also an extremely intelligent businessman with multiple degrees, so I think he, more than anyone, would really understand what we're all feeling right now.
Wow, what a way to start out, huh, guys? Sorry I didn't want to get all depressing and stuff, but what she's happened to say, welcome to the rat race, right? What she has to say is real and straight from the heart, and she's feeling it, and she's and she's just depressed, and she's not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. She's just like, hey, am I just gonna keep doing this and just hope something happens? Oh man, that's a tough one, but let's keep going. Leave me your thoughts below. This was a real one. This is, you can tell that she really felt it. Let's go to the next one. This one's a good one.
If wages went up with inflation, there wouldn't be a problem. But we're making the same money we were making 10, 15, 20 years ago with the new prices. Everything has gone up but wages.
There you have it, folks. Everything has gone up but wages. So what kind of reference do we have? Everything's gone up except wages, right? So let's look at this next one here. It'll explain to us from a reference, 300,000 is the new 100,000. Let's check this one out. This is a good one.
This morning, I read that if your parents make $100K 40 years ago in 1983, then you'd have to make $292,000 in 2023 just to have the same purchasing power adjusted for inflation. 300K is the new 100K.
Well, 300K is the new 100K. How do you guys feel about that? Anyone here make 300K? Leave a comment below if you do. I'd really like to see what you do. If you do, leave a comment below and tell me what you do. Okay, that would be awesome. Now here's a really spirited guy. He will tell you how the price of everything has gone up except inflation, and he will directly tell us. This is a good one. Let's watch this.
1983,
making $30,000 a year is equivalent to 2024 making $164,000 a year. So our parents grew up comfortably on $30,000 a year, very comfortable. And we have to make $164,000 a year just to live the same way that our parents lived in 1983. I think that stat really shows how much inflation has impacted everyone, and it makes a lot of sense now why no one can afford shit. Because making $30,000 a year in 1983 was sufficient because eggs were like 50 cents, maybe even 20 cents. And now it's like $9 for a can of 12. So although the price of everything in your life has gone up, car insurance, rent, groceries, food, everything, the price of everything has gone up, wages have not. And that's a huge problem because now 90% of people are living paycheck to paycheck in the U.S. And that stat really puts it into perspective.
Well, we've got a little bit to unpack there. So if you're making $30,000 back in the 80s, you need to make $164,000. Leave me a comment below if you make $164,000. Huh? Wow. And the price of eggs, right? That was funny. He's like a can of 12. I didn't know eggs came in cans, but whatever. But that's beside the point, of course. Yeah, he mentioned the rent, the insurance, everything has gone up except wages. So let's look at this lady here. She explains that the cost of living adjustment that you get from your job is not the same thing as a raise. I mean, how many times have you went into your job and they'll say, hey, we gave you a raise 3% for the cost of living. This lady here is like, wait a minute, cost of living adjustment and a performance raise should be two different things. This is good. Tell me if you agree or not, okay? Check this out.
If you haven't gotten at least a 9% pay increase in the last 2 years, then you are making less money than you were.
And he brings up a really good point. If you have not gotten at least a 9% increase in your pay over the last 1.5 to 2 years, you are actually making less money. You have less buying power due to inflation and the cost of everything in our everyday lives. So I recommend that you look at job hopping, that you're, looking for other jobs, that you're advocating for yourself, and that you recognize a cost of living adjustment is not the same as a raise. With our company, we're going to be doing a cost of living adjustment annually, and that is in addition to raises for merit, for skill sets that people have learned, for changes in job roles. They are not, a cost of living adjustment does not take the place of a raise, but a lot of companies will do that and act that you should be excited for it.
That is very interesting. The cost of living raise or adjustment, I guess, is not the same as a merit raise. I've never, in my many years of working, I've never been to a company who did both, right? Leave me a comment below if you have, right? Have you got a cost of living adjustment and a raise? Not me. We'll just call it a raise and, say it's because of the cost of living. I don't know. I have not. So one of the things that she was suggesting to get higher pay is job hopping. There's a couple things to that, right? It could be advantageous, and I've done that quite a bit in my career, to get those big jumps, right? Because if you stay at your job, most likely you're not going to get 10, 15, 20% increases, right? You're going to get 3, 4, 5, maybe 2, in that range. But you will probably not get big rate percentage increase like a 10 or 15 unless you move to a different job, right? Which I've done several times. You can't do it too often, right? As your career progresses, I've done it like every 3 to 5 years, right? Is typical for my industry that I'm working in, but it's a good idea, right? And also advocating for yourself at your job and stuff, saying, hey, this is what I've done, this is why I've produced for your company. This is why I should get compensated for making you guys more money, that kind of thing. Anyways, so this guy here, really smart guy, knows about the economy and stuff, and he talks about greedflation, right? So he goes through a lot of stuff. This is a little bit long, but follow along, follow him because he's got good stuff to say. And if you haven't seen my video on greedflation, I'll leave a link up here somewhere. And we did something on greedflation. Anyways, Let's check this one out.
First of all, let's just look at the rawest of numbers. After-tax corporate income in the U.S. is over $300 trillion. They post record profits annually. Since the year 2000, corporate profits have increased 600%, 6 times more than the average wage over the same time period. See, not only by the numbers could they afford us, they can afford to pay us around 6 times more than what they do. These are readily available numbers, my guy. Corporations spend billions of dollars in profit on every year just to increase shareholder value. And shareholder returns is the real reason that wages have remained stagnant. Because Ronald Reagan's tax cuts and all of the subsequent tax cuts for corporations and the wealthy have reduced the amount of money that they need to reinvest into their businesses to get tax deductions. So where they used to be forced to make the choice of giving a bunch of money to the government in the form of taxes or spending that money investing in equity and labor in their companies to retain that profit and giving their shareholders value in the form of corporate equity, stability, and reliability, which are all increased by a healthy, well-trained, well-paid workforce, now they don't need to worry about it because the taxes are so low they can pocket that money without all of the reinvestment, and shareholder value comes in the form of quarterly returns. One way they manage to achieve increased quarter-over-quarter returns is running the leanest, most underpaid workforce they can get away with. And while there is a labor shortage, and in a regular free market economy, companies would be forced to increase wages until their labor demands were met, we don't have a free market economy. See, a free market requires competition. Competition requires enforcement of antitrust laws. Antitrust laws are shit we don't enforce anymore, which is why 4 companies control 75% of the global agriculture industry. There's like, what, 5 big tech companies that control nearly the entire tech industry. 14 corporations control the global auto industry. 25 companies control 70% of the pharmaceutical industry. You can apply this to almost any industry, and when you have that few companies controlling global markets, it's really easy for them to coordinate on business practices. Now, if these companies were forced to operate in a competitive market, they would be forced to raise wages to attract quality labor so they could meet demand with a competitive product. Otherwise, their competitors would start outperforming them and they'd lose money. But now they can all get together and be like, hey, why don't we just not raise wages? And if people don't want to work for poverty wages, we'll just reduce production, that'll reduce supply, and we'll increase our prices. It's a win-win. We don't have to compete with each other, our costs will go down, and our profit margins will go up. Because demand remains the same, but they can collude to reduce supply. They got a catchy new term for it. It's called greedflation. So they're not printing money because they can't afford to pay us. Prices aren't going up because they're paying us too much. Nah, the anemic economic conditions of middle and lower class America exist solely because the dietary regimen of corporate America is acutely deficient in Grandpa Roosevelt's cans of old-fashioned whoop-ass. And unless we put something really rich in our diets or get a little Teddy and Franklin back in theirs, it's only gonna get worse.
All right, he's got a lot to say there, but the main thing that I got from that is that there's so few big companies at the top that run everything, and they get together, corporate collusion, right, along with greedflation. Corporate collusion is they're getting together, they're saying, hey guys, let's, buddy, we don't need to pay our people too much. We can just set prices the way we want, and like the guy was saying, hey, if they don't want to work, too bad, right? We don't have to pay them that much. What do you guys think? You think it's a real thing that all the companies are just colluding at the top, or you think there's real competition? Leave me a comment below. There is real competition. I don't believe that. Or absolutely they're getting together and doing this to us, man. We're just the workers. We're just the cogs in the wheel. Anyways, yeah, let me know what you think. All right, here's a good one on your money is disappearing. Check this out. This is a quick one.
Check it out. Wage growth has not kept up for 21 consecutive months with inflation. That means for every $100,000 you have in savings, literally 10,000 gone. The next 10,000 gone. It's literally evaporating. It's disappearing right now. And it's super sad because most people are doing nothing but just waiting.
So he's saying in the past 21 months, so almost 2 years, we've had this where the inflation's gone up higher than wages. And I believe that, even before the pandemic, it was like that. I would have thought it'd be a lot longer than that. What do you guys think? Let me comment. Now here's a good one. This lady here is telling us about how even high-paid people, doctors in this particular case, their wages are going down. Now that's hard for me to believe, right? Let's listen to what this chick has to say.
Can someone explain to me why even physicians' salaries are going down? That makes no sense because our health insurance cost keeps going up, whether you're talking about your yearly premium, your copays, or anything. Like, the prices keep going up. So where is this money going if they're not paying it to pharmacists and physicians?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I don't think the physicians and pharmacists, I mean, I don't know. If you're a physician or pharmacist, are your wages going down? I'm thinking that not, right? You get, more money with all this inflation. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Now, here's a real quick one on the cost of living raise is not a raise. Here's another one. Check this out.
Hey, employers, stop calling your 3% cost of living raise a raise. It's not a raise. It doesn't even keep up with inflation.
Ain't that the truth? It does not keep up with inflation, and 3%, let me know if you agree or disagree. But that's pretty much, like I said before, that's pretty much all you're gonna get. Or that's pretty much all I've ever gotten. I don't know. So here's a guy telling us about how wages in the US are falling at a striking pace. From Indeed, right? So Indeed would know, they're the big job market website kind of thing. And his suggestions, and he actually has suggestions of investing and getting a second income, right? Like what I've been saying, you need a side hustle, right? Everybody needs a side hustle. It's better for taxes. I'm not an attorney or tax advisor or anything like that, but it helps out. And it puts a little extra money in your pocket. Now, I've done a few videos on side hustles and stuff, so make sure you subscribe to my channel and look at those videos. This weekend, I made a couple $100 selling wood, of all things, right? Just plain old cedar, Anyways, let's have a look at what he has to say.
Now, why does this happen? This happens because of inflation, right? And that your job isn't necessarily increasing your salary at the rate of inflation. Let me give you an example. If inflation goes up by 9%, but your increase in your wage only goes up by 3%, that means that your purchasing power, the value of your dollar in your neighborhood, goes down 6%, right? Because everything around you increased by 9%, you got an increase of 3%, but you're still down 6% because you can't pay for everything the same way you used to. This is why having a secondary income is so important. The majority of Americans only have one source of income, which is their wage. And if you're beholden to your corporate sponsor to give you this type of money, but they don't necessarily pay you to keep up with inflation, you're always going to fall behind the 8 ball. That's why investing is so important. Investing allows you to, number one, keep up with inflation year over year, at least on average. But number two, have another secondary income to pay for things when things get more expensive. Now you know.
Now you know. The two important things is investing and having a side hustle, right? So, like I said before, subscribe to the channel. That's what we talk about, investing, right? We talk about stocks and all that kind of stuff, and as well as side hustles, right? We talk about that. So, and also look at my links in the description on my link tree. I'll leave a link in the description below. It has some stuff about how to really start a profitable online business in 5 days, right, or something like that. But check it out. It also has debt consolidation stuff, but mainly investing, side hustle is what we need to do, right, to make it, right. Anyways, we'll end it here on this one. We'll see this news commentary about parents and kids. When should kids be able to pay their own way, and wages are not keeping up with inflation? This is a really good one. Stick around and watch this. Okay, check this out. Let me know what you think.
Young adults are facing some tough challenges. Higher living and education costs and wages that aren't keeping up with inflation are making it harder for them to support themselves. And they're relying more on the bank of mom and dad. A new bank rate report shows nearly 70% of parents with kids 18 and older are putting their own finances in danger to help them. About half are dipping into their emergency savings or delaying paying off debt, while 43% drain their retirement funds. So where do you draw the line? There seems to be a generational gap, as older parents can't understand why being self-sufficient now is a lot harder than it was for them. Gen Z seems to think on average that 22 is a benchmark for covering the expenses, while baby boomers say their adult children should pay their own way closer to age 20. Either way, it's a family decision. Bankrate suggests having a conversation with your kids and setting a specific dollar amount or time frame for footing the bill.
Now that's very interesting. I mean, if you're a young person, what age do you think that you should be able to pay all your bills, move out, do your own thing, right? Is it 20, 22? That seems kind of young to me. I've never liked the idea of kicking your kids out at 18, get out of here, right? Pay your own way. But a lot of people do. Leave me a comment. I really want to know, at what age do you feel you should be independently paying your own bills? Okay, this is a good one right here. Also, if you're older, leave me a comment on how old you think your kids should be by the time they should be paying their own bills. Okay, so that's it's very interesting, 20, 22, 22, 23, 24, that kind of thing. What do you go into college at 18, get out at 22, after college, you hit the job. I think that's pretty reasonable, right? But still, after that, I think if you can still live at home and just rack up that savings and investing stuff, and pay rent or whatever you have to do. But that's what in my mind works. But definitely leave me a comment below what you think. Okay, so this is I don't want this just to be me spouting out stuff, but give me your opinion, right? What do you think the right age should be? Okay, anyways, great talk. This is wonderful. I love doing this stuff, so leave me a comment on what topics you want me to cover next, right? What are you thinking about? What in life is bringing you down, or what in life, what topics that you would want in-depth coverage on? Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate y'all, and definitely look for the links, like I said, in the description below on different resources to make more money, save more money, and to grow your money. All right, so I wish you much success in your finances and in life, and as always, appreciate y'all. Watch, comment, subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you like this stuff. Subscribe, make sure you hit that bell notification. All right, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.